Hey, welcome to the best of everything. I am Ruben Paul. We are finally live. Um, got my brother from another mother. I got two brothers from another mother today on the show. My annoying brother, as you guys get to hear him every week, the one and only, the Portuguese assassin, the French Mexican, the one and only Mr. Johnny Sanchez. What up, Johnny?
Yeah. All right. Good to be here. Good to be here. Good to be back on track.
Yeah, man. And our very, very special guest, man, is I would consider him one of my closest friends in the business, man. We've been friends for a long time. Great comic, great friend, great actor, writer. He does it all. He has a special that's I think that's still on Netflix called Take Note. And he's here with us today. He tours internationally like myself. The one and only Mr. Dwayne Perkins. What up, DP?
Yeah.
Yo. I'm just posting about it. Good to be here, man. It's actually on it's on Stars now.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Congratulations, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I had a little run of
let's get into it. That's really interesting because Netflix originally licensed your special, correct? And then
correct, yes.
Tell us about that, how that happened, and then how it got to Stars.
That was such a blessing.
Of course, he freezes.
That's the goal. That was literally exactly where I wanted it to be, and I self-financed it. Well, not completely. I did a GoFundMe, not a GoFundMe, Indiegogo, basically.
I remember you shot it.
That kind of took care of.
You shot it in downtown LA, correct? Didn't you shoot it in downtown LA?
Yeah. I shot it in Little Tokyo, the Japanese American National Museum, Little Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
So there, and it was great. It was low budget, but really looked good. Sounded great and stuff. And the director, he knew a guy over at Netflix, but we still went through a distribution company, even though we could have went straight to Netflix.
Oh wow,
that's interesting. I thought Netflix had that thing where you had to go through them to get the special.
No.
Well, I think I think I caught how you it worked. It worked well for me this time because you know how you meet a girl and she tells you how she used to sleep with everybody, but now she's chilled on that and she's like she's just trying to do a new thing, and she's starting it with you. You know what I mean?
Turned over the new leaf. Yeah.
Right. She got saved. She's a born again virgin.
Right. And you're like, well, could you do that right after me if you don't mind? But
Can we get it in now and you can ask for forgiveness afterwards? After you get this gig.
But like in this case, I was like with the Netflix, to keep the analogy going, I was like the last guy that hit it. You know what I mean? Because it seems like after me, two things. One, going straight to Netflix is kind of crazy, but the director of the special, he just knew the guy at the time. Yeah. But the guy it felt like he wanted to go through the distribution company, so we did it that way. You're splitting the pot up more, but you're trying to like not be greedy and whatever, and build those relationships and stuff. But after that, I feel like Netflix now, they don't acquire specials anymore. It's got to be
right
a Netflix original that they do.
Yeah. Well, they do for certain. It depends on who it is. Like there was a time. Or you get popular because I think they licensed Gina Yashire's one of her old specials that she had done a while ago.
Oh, nice.
But what you did, I mean, it's still impressive. They like to be more in-house with giving you a deal, so it's a Netflix original. But there are still some that they will acquire. But I think a lot of times, it's the Showtimes, it's the Stars that are, buying, licensing, I could say, special.
Right. So
you felt like they would rather go through the distribution company than go directly through you.
Yeah, they intimated as much, and I don't think it affected the initial deal. It affects kind of things going forward a little bit, you just hope that the distribution company adds enough value to justify giving them a piece. Because I mean, I did it completely by myself, you know?
Yeah.
And I think for comics, what they have to realize, not by myself, I mean, with a team of people, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But not, yeah. But what comics have to realize is that for specials, it's worth doing it, even if you don't sell it, because you can make, if you're lucky enough, eventually you'll make the money back on Sound Exchange through Sirius FM, Pandora, Spotify, you know, in royalties. And
Yes.
so the key is to make sure you keep the right percentage of royalties, because a lot of these guys, when they step in, you're thinking, oh, they're going to help me sell it. They're going to help me promote it. And sometimes that happens. Other times they just take some of your royalties.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. I was talking to Joe Coy
great.
And Joe was telling me, even with his first special, I think the one that he did in Seattle, he totally paid for that himself. And I think later on he had a situation like you where Netflix actually, you know, licensed the special from him. Like, I'm just curious, when they licensed the special from you, how long was the deal for? And then when you answer that question, how did it get to Starz?
Okay, so the Netflix licensing was for 2 years. I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where we were literally negotiating with the guy at Netflix. I don't think he's there anymore, but we were negotiating with him separately. And I had a deal with the distribution company in theory, but we never signed anything. And it was like, I don't know what the delay was. Something was holding it up. So we kind of like had a verbal agreement with the guy at Netflix. So then the distribution company, they went to meet with Netflix to pitch all the things they had. And one of the things they pitched was my special. And the Netflix guy was like, oh yeah, we already got something going with him. And he was like, what? We gotta deal with him. So he called me, hit me on the jack like right there. He's like, I'm here, the Netflix guy. He says you gotta fucking deal with him. You know, and I was like,
Relax.
all right, well, calm down. Y'all was bullshitting, so I was gonna just do it on my own, but so but the deal with the distribution company is 10 years. They own the right to sell it for 10 years.
Gotcha.
And then we have our split. So then when Netflix didn't re-up after 2 years, Starz jumped in and they purchased it. But to be honest, it's available on Starz and that's running up, but it's also now available on Amazon. It's available on many different things. Some of these things you have to like pay or you have to have Prime but it's available. It's even available on Kevin Hart's LOL network because Starz, I think, is owned by Paramount, and Paramount owns or is affiliated with Kevin Hart's LOL network.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I mean, I Johnny, you got something?
No, go ahead. No.
I was going to say, and Johnny, you can piggyback off this. Also, is I think it's a good testament when you hear stories about not waiting on the industry, taking things into your own hand, and what it could do. I don't have a lot of regrets, but I had the opportunity to produce my own special, and I let somebody talk me out of it. And now this pandemic hits. I'm like, the moment we can get people into a room again, I'm going to shoot a special.
Right.
I was in a position to bet on myself. I felt like I should bet on myself, like you did, like Joe Coy did, and how it turned out for both of you. Where, damn man, I just wish I would have trusted my gut. And me and Johnny talk about trusting our guts a lot of times. Like especially Johnny, like, man, I knew it, man. I knew I should have listened. I told you, Rue. Johnny, you
right.
Well, that happened to me similarly a year ago in January. I shot something. And at the time I was talking to Ruben about it, and I was just like, and we were thinking about shooting something. We might have even done it together where we would have each done our own at the same venue. And then an offer came around and I was like, oh man, I don't know how long it's going to take us to do it. Will it, this whole thing, and I shoot the other thing, but it's out of my control.
Right.
So it went great. I was super excited about it. and then I get the rough cuts back, and oh no, not that. No, you chopped into this.
Right.
Oh, I'm not in the editing room, So,
Right.
and now I think it's a 2-year hold. They have it for 2 years, so it'll get released next January to me, but still, it didn't go. They didn't find a home for it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think we're in the same position. I went with it with something that wasn't my own. Was out a little, just the typical like, hey, I'll tape it. You guys do it. We'll figure all the other stuff out later.
Right.
And then Ruben's thing was he didn't want to do that, and then he held off, and
Right.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I was blessed enough to have 3 opportunities, and I passed on 2 of them, thinking that I was going to produce my own to have full control over it. The 2 I passed on, I didn't really regret it because I just didn't want to be a guinea pig. For somebody who had never had a special out, I just wanted to make sure it was going to be seen and going to be presented correctly, and not just do material and have it die. But let me ask you this question, Dwayne. When you decided to do everything yourself, did it come out of frustration? Were you just sitting on your couch like, fuck this, man, I'll do it myself?
No, a few things. One, I had this crazy show I did, and I already had this idea, but I had this crazy show in Reno, Nevada, right? It was at a lake house. It was the craziest show ever in a living room.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked like where your background, right? And so, but it was for these Black doctors. They were balling, like this is way before there was a hashtag Black Excellence, but they was already on that, So I don't forget what the show was. It was good money for just one show, but I mean, it's like 20 people in a living room, and I do this show, and they're all bigging me up. And this one guy after, he was like, man, you're so good. You gotta, he was like, you gotta get it on tape. It wasn't even tape, but he was just like, you gotta prove it. You gotta put it out there. You gotta prove it. You're better than this one, that one, this one, that one. You gotta prove it. That always stuck with me. And then that same year the special came out, the next year I did like an indie movie with my friends called Dying to Kill. It's about a comic that gets locked up by his number one fan, and he wakes up and he's chained. But that year I think, and I got to get back on it. My mantra that year was, I'm gonna do everything as if I have the money. Like I'm gonna act like what would I do if I had endless money? I would do a special. All right, I'm gonna do that, even though I don't have endless money. What would I do if I had endless money? I'd do a movie. I'm gonna do that, and somehow those 2 things happen. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I think you put it out there.
Yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a saying: the universe agrees with the made-up mind. So once you make up your mind to do something, sometimes we worry about everything that can stop us. We'll come up with all the excuses like, man, I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of that. And we verbally put roadblocks in front of us instead of going, you know what? This is what I want to do. I'm going to trust God that somehow, some way, this is going to happen, because there's just certain things you can't see. It's like stepping out on faith, and manifested into 2 great projects, man. That's dope.
Yeah. And it's like I've had a decent run, in my younger days with women and stuff. Not that I was crazy with it, but I just couldn't believe how many girls I liked. Like it took me a long time to for my confidence to match what was happening. Like I would like a girl and I'd be like, oh my gosh, she's just everything. And then I would end up being with her. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Then I'd like another girl. Oh my gosh, she's everything. I'll never get her. Then I'd get her. And I'm like, what if everything else works like this? You know what I
mean? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but I tell you, I think I did everything except the promotion. If I dropped the ball a little bit on the promotion side of it, because I thought, and don't get me wrong, people have found it, especially on Netflix. People still tell me people email me. I've watched it 6 times, 8 times, like crazy stuff. But I do think, if I'm keeping it 100, I really, really appreciate Netflix but I appreciate the guy at Netflix because he had the power at the time, and he himself liked it. And then I think there was a changing of the guard, and I just got in right in time because after that they came up with like 15-minute specials, and it just started to get a little wonky.
Yeah, I remember the 15-minute. Yeah,
and I didn't see any of them. They might be great, but it's like
sure.
A 15-minute special. You're either saying that you think the general populace doesn't lacks the ability to watch something for 45 minutes, or you're saying these comics don't have an hour, but these are our guys. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I didn't watch them. I don't know if that what the deal was with them, but things did get a little wonky. But I really appreciate Netflix putting on. But I realized that they promoted it a little, but not as much as I would have liked because it wasn't a Netflix original. You see what I mean? And I think I dropped the ball because by that time I'm writing on the game show, and also the distribution company kind of dropped the ball a little bit too because like I'm writing trivia jokes, right? I'm at my computer in Culver City at the office writing trivia jokes, and I know I'm still with my special. I don't know when it's going to come out, and you got to get insurance. There's all these different things got to happen, and color correction, whatever the case. And I'm sitting at my computer, and people start hitting me up. Oh, yo, you didn't tell me you had a special on Netflix? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
you didn't even know.
I don't even know. So then I had to like get in motion to try to because if I'd have known, I'd have been like, I'd have had a party. I would have. I mean, I still kind of did some of those things, but it was after the fact. It wasn't like the lead up would have been crazier, and maybe I should have known, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
What happened with that? But I knew it was. I just didn't know the release date because I thought. Matter of fact, some of the deliverables were not done yet. So technically, it wasn't. I had to hurry up and do the deliverables. Some of the deliverables are like like a title search. You got to get E&O insurance. That means error and omissions. That's in case someone sues you. Like if you have a logo, you just have to have insurance for that kind of thing. Yeah. And I didn't think everything was quite in place yet. And that's why I was surprised that when it went up.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? Oh, what you want to go, Rube?
No, go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
No, you know what I found interesting about that though, and this is a real positive because I can't tell you how many stories I've heard about the changing of the guard before the deal happens.
Exactly. Right.
So the fact that you that didn't happen and then 2 years went by and a 2-year run, dude, on Netflix, this story could have been completely opposite with you going, I ended up there's a changing of the guard. It didn't go anywhere. Now I sell it myself or it's on my YouTube. I mean, oh my gosh, dude, that is so good for you because
thank you.
It's happened to me. I know it's happened to Ruben. The changing of the guard. It is all timing, man.
What do you say, Ru?
Go ahead, DP.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you putting it like that, like literally the way you said it just now, makes me more appreciative in a way that I kind of a little bit overlooked. I was always appreciative, but you saying that it hit me because I know dudes that I walked out of that room like I got a sitcom, and then a week later they were like, "Oh, Barry not here no more." You know what I
mean? Yo, you're looking at a guy who always finds himself in that position. Like I'll call Johnny and go, "Johnny, finally, man, finally." And then the next thing you know is like, hey, you get an email or a call like, hey, man, just so you know, I left the company. When I land somewhere, I'll reach out.
Right.
Dude, it's heartbreaking, whether it's some deal, whether it's an agency, whether it's whatever. It seems like I get there, right? I just had a situation with an agent where I called Johnny, dude, and I was probably as excited as I've been in a long time. I'm like, dude, I just signed with blah, blah, blah. And then Johnny was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden you get an email, everything's kind of quiet. You go, hey, when are we going to get together? It's like, hey, yeah, about that. I'm leaving the company. And you just go, all right.
I mean, you kind of think maybe it's the universe saving you from yourself. Like maybe something crazy was going to happen with that situation. You don't know, but that's and I think also the benefit of, I think my special is, I put it up against a lot of other specials only because so many people have told me they've watched it so many times,
Mm-hmm.
and like the people I don't know have told me that. So I put it up against a lot of the specials, at least the ones in the last 5 to 10 years. But I think also because I did it myself, kept the expenses low, the amount that it cost, I think this guy had enough juice at that time to greenlight it. But had it been a different echelon, he might have had to get this one to sign off and that one to sign off.
Yeah.
It was almost good that it was at that perfect level where he could be like, "Oh, I got this in my budget. I could sign it." You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me just say this, and not just
it all lined up, man. It all lined up.
Exactly.
Let me say this, not just because you're my friend, and to everybody listening out there, in terms of just content, the material that you have, of course you should put it up against anybody who's out there. You're one of the best out there. And I think what happens when somebody who is as talented and as good as a comic as you are, you're being put up against a lot of hype. I just had a conversation, I won't name drop, but I just had a conversation with somebody who recently dropped a special on Netflix and is doing really well. It's like, well, of course, because you're a great stand-up. You're not going against somebody that they're trying to put heat behind, or they're trying
exactly
that are great. And there's a lot of people who get specials, and I'm not saying they don't deserve them. I believe everybody gets what they deserve eventually, but they don't have the chops or the experience, and you can tell.
Right. Yeah. And so much, in fact, that we talk about this, Rue, that they're trying to change almost the definition of stand-up. Like they're trying to make it where it instead of doing this, you're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they're doing that because they're not picking the right guys. But the thing is, all three of us, we're such veterans, which is a kind of crazy thing to say. We're such veterans that I know for a fact that you guys have been on doing shows on the road or wherever, and audience members come up to you and they say, such and such was here last week or 2 weeks ago, some big name, and you were way funnier than that guy, right? That happens a lot. And this is like unsolicited. Like you didn't ask them, you didn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think, putting it out yourself, and maybe with this whole quarantine, with Zoom, all these different things, it puts us in a position to have it, to put up the receipts, to be like, guys, no disrespect to nobody, but this is what I do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because people don't know.
And Johnny, you can go on after I say this, because I'm sure you're going to have something to say, is when you do those shows and the fans come up to you and go, I mean, it got to the point where it used to depress me after a while, where people come up to me, hey, no offense, I've never heard of you, but my God, why aren't you famous? Like, why don't more people know about you? Like, this place should be full. Like, and these are great compliments. And then after a while, the shit starts to hurt your feelings. Like, am I doing something wrong? What am I not doing? And I'm always a person of self-introspection, and I take responsibility for, whatever failures I might have or things that are not being done. I try to figure that out. And sometimes it's just timing and knowing that you just keep working until your time comes. But I know Johnny has had the same thing, where I got to the point where I said, you know what? Instead of these compliments making me feel bad about myself, let me use it for what it's intended to do, and that's to inspire me and to cause me to work harder and motivate me and do those things. And that's what I've chosen to do. And I'm not saying I'm content of where I am, but I feel good about where I am, knowing that I have a lot to offer going forward. Johnny?
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly, Rube. Those compliments, because we would talk all the time, and we'd come back from the road, and Dwayne, you were probably talking to somebody too, going, "Hey, man, if I gotta hear somebody tell me one more time, it's the it's the pat on the back, the kick in the nuts at the same time." You know what I mean?
Right.
And they mean well, but it's hard to fly back home after 5 to 7 shows, and you're just killing it every night, and these people don't know. They might know who you were a little bit, or they seen you here and there, but it's almost like that same conversation. I watched so-and-so, from that TV show, from the movies, and Why? I don't get it. How are you not? And it is timing. It's things lining up. It's the changing of the guard at the right time. So I mean, it's you. Oh, but what I was gonna say, I just want to wrap this up with I think what Dwayne did, he took it upon himself, and we hear this all the time, Rube. Whenever somebody goes, "Hey, man, I went ahead and did this. I decided to do that. I did it. I was tired of not being in the editing room and not having a voice of which people chopping up my bits." And not making them work properly on television when it comes out. I mean, that's really the bottom line, Rube, is exactly what Dwayne did. He did it. Now it's, hey, man, some people, they'll get a 2-year run and then that's it. And now it's leaped over to Stars and Amazon. And, oh, by the way, it's not take note, though, right? What's the name of that year special? The one where...
No, it is. It's Take Note.
Oh, it is Take Note. Okay, I just want to make sure so people knew that that's the one. Well, like they can go looking for you and obviously watch.
And that's my book Zombie Run that I wrote with a friend of mine.
It's
on Amazon. It's a love story, a post-apocalyptic love story.
Of course, you would write something like that.
That's another thing too. We can talk about that, but.
Well, the last point on what you said about getting those type of compliments and being at a certain level, the frustrating part is even when the club managers and club owners and the staff tells you the same thing, that's like another layer of it going, hey, man, they'll name the comics and they'll tell you who's been there and they'll go, hey, man, I've never seen anybody, get a standing ovation in this room. And I'm not even a standing ovation guy, but, sometimes you have those nights.
Right.
And I take that a lot of pride in that because and this is no knock to people who sing and do impressions or whatever, who have those big dramatic dismounts at the end of their set, but to be able to pound an audience by straight material for 45 minutes to an hour, and then you get them up on their feet after that. That's that's one of those things like, man.
Absolutely. But it's weird. Like I've seen famous people do well, and then they also have this, sometimes they have this thing, and I don't know how they get it, but they can do okay and they just get off stage like they're great. Like you're like how you did aside, that thing is special. What you just did, you just got off stage like you killed. Like I'd be like fucking in the back pacing, worrying. I wouldn't be eating, you know what I mean? And these guys just like, well, that was good,
We're happy with it. Yeah.
It's amazing. And you know what else is happening? YouTube. My brother came to visit me recently. He's a bit younger than I am. He's a lot younger than I am. And we were just watching YouTube all day, and these people doing their own shows. Okay, and that inspired me now too. Like it's like a group of homies. It'd be like 4 or 5 guys, and they just do TV shows, and they're literally doing, from a TV perspective, they're doing everything wrong, right? Like the dialogue is fucking outrageous. It's too expositional. The sound sucks. You hear cars in the background. The lighting is bad, but it's kind of funny, and they have 400,000 views per episode, and you're like,
yeah,
this is crazy.
Yeah.
Ruben and I, I'm sorry, Ruben, I got to just cut in real quick on, we would talk about things and we would have sketch ideas and then we'd watch some of these other, sometimes with the phone and it's shaking and it's like they got 1 million followers to it. And we go, man, we got to get out of our own way. We are too worried about the technical end of the lighting and the sound and going too long, a sketch is too long. Sometimes you got to just get to the point or whatever, but you're right, man. You have to get that we've been around a while and we've been a part of all these great TV shows and grew up on them and, beginning, middle and end and and it's, you can just do what you want now. And you never know, man, people just might like what you're doing. Just specifically.
Absolutely. And the audience, I think younger audiences aren't. They're not trained. Like, meaning they'll watch a show that's like they'll binge watch, right? But that's like watching a movie that never ends, kind of. Or they'll watch stuff on YouTube. They don't have the same sense of critique that we would have. And so I think they're just, it's almost a skill in and of itself. I don't have a name for it, but it's like a certain style of novice filmmaking that the audience expects it to be that way now. They don't expect you to have great sound or great lighting. It's outrageous.
Yeah, I think we do a lot of the veteran comics because of our generation. We overthink a lot because we came from an era where it was a talent contest and not a popularity contest.
Right.
So the level of us wanting to be great because we were comparing ourselves to greatness. But I think now with the shift, we're seeing people doing it from their homes, not thinking twice about it. It's quantity over quality. Like there's these artists nowadays, they'll put out 20 videos and they're only looking for the one hit. That's all they care about. They don't care if the other ones got shitted on, just as long as they get that one. And I think it's hard for us to wrap our brains around.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's one of those things where you know what? Let's not try to make everything perfect. Let's join this generation. And that is, you know, we can keep our experience and our mentality, but also we got to give ourselves a break and go, maybe on a scale from, 1 to 10, our 5 is just as good as their 10, and approach it from that instead of just micromanaging every little thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we can keep our comedy. We could always keep, since our comedy we control solely, we can keep that top shelf, upper echelon. Yeah, but the other stuff is just, you got to get it out there,
Yeah. How I've heard it been coined to me is it's disposable, man. It's all disposable. Just get it out there, man.
You know what's crazy? You just said that. I just said that about rap battles. That's another thing. My brother had me watching rap battles. It's inspiring, but it's sad because these guys are great lyrically. Okay.
Absolutely.
They'll battle another guy, and it's 3 rounds, and it's almost an album worth of rhymes.
Yes.
That they'll never say again.
Ever.
Yeah. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And you know what's funny is some of them do beat them.
Hey, is anybody else having a problem?
No, you froze. You froze for a second for us.
Yeah, you froze for a minute, Johnny.
Okay. Yeah, it said it was having a problem with the connection. All right, so now it's back. Wait, Jeff Keith was what? Why is Jeff Keith asking us if we know Hannah Gadsby?
Oh yeah. I don't know her personally, but she's the lady who did a special. She's Australian. She's I think a lesbian. Yeah.
Whose special got really popular. That comic purists kind of called it a funny TED talk. As taking a shot at her, but it really resonated with a lot of people. She was in Montreal getting honored. When I was there, she was getting honored. And, people have their opinions, but people are going to have their opinions about everything. I think a lot of comics are, that we probably came up with didn't think it was, like you said earlier, how it seems like sometimes they're trying to redefine what comedy is. And I think, we're old school, bro. Like I start from Carlin and Pryor, they're great, Lenny Bruce, all, that was the foundation that was laid.
Right.
And free comedy, can it evolve? Of course it can. But I think at the end of the day, in its purest sense, is set up, punchline.
Right.
And if you choose to do a story around it,
I saw a lot of the special. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I think for that group of people or people who were vibing off it, she did bring that Lenny Bruce energy. I think that's why people liked it. I think we also are used to performing in clubs where people pay for 2 drinks. They have a babysitter. They want to laugh. They don't want to think, you know. So it's a little different watching it at home. But for that, I would say that's the great thing about the internet, though, because people who want to they want to hear something thought provoking, you can find them. People who want to just laugh, you can find them. Because I really enjoyed Hannah's special, but I watched it with a non-comic who wasn't into it too much. So it's kind of crazy. But, you know, like you said, people are going to have their opinions, you know?
I haven't watched it. I'm definitely going to watch it to, you know, to have an educated opinion. When people ask me about it, I go, I don't know. You know, I know what people have said to me about it.
Right,
but,
right.
I didn't have to form my own opinion. I just, at the time, just didn't really, you know, sometimes to watch stand-up, you have to be in the mood to do that as a stand-up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's like, yo, man, I know this dude is hilarious or this chick is hilarious, but I just, I can't sit down and watch anybody right now.
Right. But sometimes I don't watch too because I don't want to have an opinion. I did the same thing. I did the same thing with the OJ trial. I didn't watch it because at the time I had a day job, and I would go to work, and the white people I worked with, they were like, "Did you see what happened?" I was like, "Hey guys, I didn't watch. I'm sorry, I didn't watch."
Hey, leave me out of it.
Right.
Man, I had a boss that had that on all day too. That's so funny.
Is that right?
Said that. Yes, white dude at Pinecrest Fabrics, and he would always like, "You listening to this? You hear what's going on here?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm working, bro. Come on." Hey, wait a minute. You know what? Brandon Cole brought up that said something interesting. I call it swag comedy, more about comic swag than material these days. That's a great way to put it.
Dude,
swag
that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's B. Cole out of Chicago, I believe.
Oh,
Very
you always
funny.
gotta have a nickname, don't you?
No, that's what he actually goes by on stage. He goes by.
But you know,
okay.
I promise you, Jay Leno said something similar, and I think I was a younger comic, and I kind of got it, but he was talking about like our era basically, because he was talking about comics. He said this like 10, 15 years ago. He said a lot of comics, it's all attitude and not jokes. And so that's the same thing where it's kind of cool, but I don't know. It's weird. It's sort of like, I think it works because the audience they want to live vicariously through you, you know? Mm-hmm. And so like, they want to have that swag, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think, but that's a great terminology. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's great, man. He's like, it's B. Cole. All right, man. I apologize, Brandon. I didn't know. You got to understand Ruben, man.
Why are you apologizing to him? You need to apologize to me. You apologizing to B. Cole? You need to apologize to me, but B. Cole, shout out B. Cole, man. I don't think we've met face to face, but funny dudes, been in the game a long time like us, man, and legitimate funny dude, man. Legitimate funny dude.
No, you know how I know he's been around a while? Because he even commented and said, "Yeah, we get in our head too much. We overthink. We do the perfection thing too much." So anyway, just so he understands and everybody else listening, anytime somebody has their name on Facebook and then they chime in, Ruben's always like, "Oh man, DB, what's up? Oh, that's my boy CCC," and you know.
See, Johnny, that shows your Portuguese side because you don't understand that we give nicknames in the hood, man. That's what we do, man.
Oh, you don't think Mexicans Dwayne
DP. I've been calling Dwayne DP since probably after the first week that I've met him. You know what? I was
Dwayne, you like DP though? Are you
the name, yes, but the actual thing, no, whenever. not unless I grow another one. You know what
I mean? Hey, shout out Gerard Guillory, man. Gerard Guillory just.
Oh, GG! What up, GG?
No, I don't call him GG because that doesn't flow. That doesn't flow, Johnny. You know what, Johnny? Actually, we need to spend more time together, man, because
I lost.
You're a little watered down, Johnny. You're getting more watered down, bro.
I totally feel like I lost my ethnic edge, dude, since this quarantine.
Yeah, because we haven't been able to, to hang out as much, man.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have that same Mexican vibe that you used to have. You don't have it either.
I never have a Mexican vibe. But real quick, Dwayne, you guys were talking earlier about dry bar comedy. And
Yeah.
How did that help you, or what have you noticed? Because they get a lot of viewership, but from really a very, very specific comedy demographic, like
right.
Clean comedy.
It's like, yeah, I think that demographic, they love clean comedy, but they also want to come see you. They're really avid fans. I think it's because so much is sort of locked out to them, because there's so many things that they can't watch because it's gratuitous in their opinion. You know what I mean? So no, it's really helped. I was just telling Johnny, I'm going to Utah in about 2 weeks to do a live show at a theater off the dry bar joint.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like Southern Utah though, the Fox Theater. But I was telling Johnny is that because the dry bar is it's a clean format, that those fans, they come and they expect everything you do to be that clean. And yes. I'm fairly clean, but I've never labeled myself that.
Me neither. Yes.
And so, yeah, like you got to be careful, because they get like, if you drop an F-bomb or something, they get disappointed. You know what I mean? They get like that. He was our dude. It's almost like when Dwight Gooden did coke, and all the Mets, it was like, no, not Dwight Gooden. You know what I mean?
It's like when people come see me from church. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the guy, really funny, but I didn't know you cursed. Where, like a lot of comics, they don't see me as a dirty comic. They go, "You curse?" Because I don't curse gratuitously. And like Johnny alluded to before, is the only time I really curse a lot is when I'm getting a new bit on its feet.
Yep.
And for some reason, the nerves start to churn, and you're trying to get to the punchline or whatever that thing is that clicks into your head. But once I do a joke in its rawest form, and then as I work the joke, I start just taking the curse words out so it can stand on its own. But I do say shit, and I do say fuck sometimes. And, I don't want to stop doing that if it fits the bit, where I'm not just cursing just to be cursing. So when church people come see me perform, they think, like in your situation, is going to be squeaky clean.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. The crazy thing is, this lady emailed me and said, "You're so funny. You don't need to curse though." And I probably said one curse. And I've had, like you said, Ruben, I've had other situations where I literally get off stage, and in my head, I know what I said, right? So I get off stage and I'm like, I dropped like 3 F-bombs. Uh-huh. And I've had people come up to me and say, "You were so funny, and you didn't curse one time."
Exactly.
And I was like, I cursed like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. So it's all how they listen. You know what I mean?
Hey, Johnny, and Johnny will agree to this. And I'm not really switching subjects, but how you do it. How you do a showcase, right? And then it's a clean showcase, right? It's for Letterman. It's for whatever show is out there. So you prepare a clean set, and then somebody will go in there and drop F-bombs and get the spot, and you'd be like, "Yo, but he was dirty. He was cursing." Yeah. And they go, "Oh, we can tell. He can just take the curse words out." It's like, well, I had to do this homogenized set for you guys. I would have loved to have done it in my natural state, and then, know that you guys have to
just cut it out. Yeah.
Just put it out, And me and Johnny always talk about, why do we always stick to the rules when we do these showcases, when it seems like nobody else does and it benefits them in the long run,
I have a theory about that. Sometimes it's because those people know the outcome has already been determined. And so they're laid back. Either they really don't care, they really can't do it a different way, or they already know they won.
Got you.
So
they've already had the conversation with the manager and the agent. They already know that they're going to get the gig. They just want to see. Great point, man.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah. And you know what I was telling Dwayne, that always seems to happen, especially with the Laugh Factory. Whenever I'd be trying out a new bit. He was sort of agreeing, so it must have happened to him too. They would always seem to record a new bit of mine that I was working on, and I'm cussing like a freaking sailor. It's not tight. It's all of it, and then all of a sudden it's on their website. I'm like, oh, what are you guys doing, man? Like, they asked me recently about one of the bits that I had done years ago. They're like, hey, can we re-release this? And I go, no, man, this is when I started this damn thing.
Right.
I'm pumping up a storm. It's not even that good. It's really what it became. I'm like, we got to record it now, or you know,
and on top of it, the sound is really crazy. So you barely hear the audience on top of it unless they fix that problem. I was telling Johnny similar situation where I was riffing kind of a bit, and these church people wanted to hire me, and I was like, no problem, I could come and I can be clean. And they saw this bit that I did on the Laugh Factory set, and I didn't even know the bit was up there. It was, and I had to get them to take it down, and I lost the bit. I lost the gig. Like they were like, wow. Yeah.
Well, I've gotten people have approached me and go, hey, really funny. Can you do that set without cursing? And I go, absolutely. And that's one thing I think me, you, and Johnny have in common. And what I tell younger comics, especially when we're talking about being a working comic, is you always want to put yourself in a position to have multiple streams of income. And one thing that all of us has been able to do is I can do any gig. I can do corporate gigs. I can do church gigs. I can do hood gigs. I can do whatever, because I have the ability to do the same material. And if I need to edit or take out any curse words, I can do that. And I know there's some comics, I've had this conversation with friends before, like, hey man, if I can't do it in its purest form, then I don't need the gig. And that's their right and that's their choice. How do you guys feel about that? Dwayne?
Yeah, I think the thing is, the mark of a pro is the ability to do what's needed. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. What we do is craft and art. And I think the craft is what pays you. You know what I mean? And I think nowadays people get paid off the art when they don't have the craft sometimes. And, you know, like, I'm not an art guy, but I always say this if I'm at a museum or even a coffee shop and I see a painting of just like shapes and colors, or, you know, like random colors, or, you know, just mishmash of paint.
Yes.
I always say, if it's abstract, I should say, I always go, oh, that's good. And like, it's like $400, right, for this. And I'm like, listen, I'll buy it. I won't buy it, but I'm saying I would buy it. But the guy or girl who painted this, I need them to come here and paint me a bowl of fruit. I need to know they could paint a bowl of fruit or a fucking sunset. And then I'll buy that this was a choice. Otherwise.
Man, great analogy. You know, one of my I could talk comedy with you and Johnny all day, but one of my favorite conversations me and you had, Dwayne, where we were talking about this need in the industry to go younger, because we all know that there's racism, sexism, and ageism in this business. But when it comes to stand-up comedy, it truly doesn't make sense. There are some really good young stand-up comics, but we all know that this art form, you get better as you go along. Like there's no,
absolutely.
I don't care how fucking great you are at 25, you're going to be way better at 45. It's impossible not to be, unless you just stop working on your craft.
Yeah.
And you said something that already stuck with me about the industry. They're always trying to get these young comics who aren't ready. And you said it's like letting your child always choose the menu or what to eat. You know what I mean?
They're gonna get spaghetti and nuggets, some stupid shit all the time.
I was gonna say nuggets. Spaghetti and nuggets.
That's exactly right.
sliced apple and a green cheese. I mean, but really go into that more because, you know, sometimes people think, you know, veterans are hating on younger comics, and it's really not that. I just love to see greatness at whatever level. I mean, the first time, you know, you see certain comics, and Johnny knows I've helped a lot of younger comics get into a club and drop names and everything. But I'm doing it from a perspective of this kid can be the rookie of the year. He's not Tom Brady. I'm not telling you he's Tom Brady. I'm telling you one day he could be Tom Brady. He could be Barry Sanders. He could be LeBron James. But right now he's a really good rookie. And I think the industry tries to make these rookies seasoned vets. And a lot of times the public isn't buying it, you know, even though they're trying to force some of these people down the throat. You know?
What's crazy is that you use sports as an analogy, because that actually also happens in sports. I think it's like a thing of people want upside. And I think the thing is, I always go, okay, we were all young once, and maybe we got things we didn't deserve. Like I watched my first Conan, and I was like, it was okay. You know what I mean? So maybe I didn't get things I didn't deserve when I was young. So I don't want to hate, like you said, but at the same time, we were always aspiring to be really good comics.
Yes.
Really good road comics. We were trying to, you know, we were at that level until you get a show or whatever. You're trying to do everything. So you're trying to do corporates, cruise ships, clubs, road gigs, bars, colleges, right? The whole thing. And I think a lot of these guys now, they just they're not trying to do any of that. Especially if they get the plug right away. If they get plugged in, they skip the whole thing. So I'm not hating on them. Like, you gotta, if people come to you with an opportunity, you gotta take the opportunity, even if you're not ready. But
absolutely,
you gotta then try to get ready, though. You know what I mean? And I think,
I think, you know, one thing that me and Johnny talk about is, you know, I never hesitated to go to veteran comics and ask them their opinion, or, hey, what do you think about this? Even my peers, you know, Dwayne, me and you have workshop jokes before where we'll talk back and forth. Me and Johnny will do that. And I'm not saying younger comics don't do that, but I always respected a veteran's opinion, especially if I knew they were good at what they did and they gave me a piece of advice. And not to get into it too much, both of you guys have been a part of the show that I created. That was kind of part of the undertone of why I created the show that I created, was because a lot of these younger comics are missing what we're providing in that format. You know, go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Something that happened to me, Dwayne, early on was when I did the Comedy Central Presents, okay, which was I had done a lot of those little TV things and Premium Blend and stuff like that. And I did well on all those. But I remember what happened with that situation. So I remember it was a musical act dropped out. It was a guy that played guitar, and they couldn't get rights to his song or something, the songs. So he dropped out. I was with ICM and 3 Arts at the time. Okay.
Wow, nice.
And I was up and coming, and I hadn't done anything big. And I know that I got in because they made the phone call going, this is who you got to put on this season of, and this is back in 2000, man. This was I believe it was their second season. It wasn't their first, it was their second. And I remember them getting a hold of me going, hey, man, there was no asking me, by the way. It was, we got you a half-hour special. You're going to do Comedy Central Presents in New York. And I only had a couple weeks to prepare because the guy had just dropped out.
Right.
You know, I remember there was a gut instinct of mine. I remember it's like, man, I don't know about that, man. I'm putting together, it was only going to be 22 minutes because they cut back with commercials, but, you know, they wanted you to do around 30. And I remember my gut instinct was like, should I just say, let me pass and let's get to this in a couple of years where I feel a little more. I had done maybe 4 or 5 TV spots, but they were all short, small, 5-7 minutes. But, you know, it's one of those things, man. It's like, Johnny, you know, you got to do this. This will catapult you. This is the hottest thing right now. Is Comedy Central Presents. So I put it together. I remember being at the store at the time. I was a big regular at the store all the time, and I was working on it. And it was a very Frankenstein-y kind of set. You know, it was I wanted to say this. I wanted to do what I wanted to just kill. And they wanted me to have their what is it?
Your
Remember back
POV,
then,
your point of view,
the point of
sitcom.
view for
Yeah.
a sitcom.
The development set.
What's that?
The development set.
The development set. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they were just like, well, we really want you to talk about this, that you're third generation and you don't speak Spanish and and going on. I go, no, I get it, man, but I've got these bits that murder. So we sort of came to a compromise where I'll start with the personal stuff that was not as strong. Also, I'm doing this in New York, by the way, and I'd never even performed in New York. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about being Mexican and third generation in front of and in front of a New York audience. So I did it. Now, in the end, it wasn't. I wasn't completely happy with it by any means, and people never really caught on. They're like, "Hey, it was great, dude. I remember it and this and that." But I wish that I was able to do that 2 or 3 years later, at least 2 or 3 years later, because I remember Freddie Soto got his a few years after mine, and I remember Freddie was ready. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Johnny, let me say this. Johnny.
Yeah.
I disagree only because I don't think you should have done it 2 years later. I think you should have done the set you wanted to do.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think you should have done the set because, hey, man, you're looking at a guy who has listened to a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. And as I get older, I realize that it's probably out of some type of insecurity or fear that I had, where I've done a joke, 1,000 times, and then some industry person go, you know what? Why don't you say this right here? All right, why don't you do this material? And instead of you trusting your gut, you listen to them because you think they're more experienced, they know more than you. I told Johnny this story one time. I was doing a TV spot. I think I did a spot on Chris Spencer's show when he had Vibe on, and the booker, no knock on her, I love her. She came to me, man, and I'd gotten the show. They loved the set. We worked the set. Then she gave me a note on a joke that I had done 1,000 times, and she's like, "I think you should say this instead." And my dumb ass listened to her, and I didn't believe in it. I did it. It went flat. I jumped right back, finished the set, ended up having a great set on the show. I saw Chappelle go, "Hey man, good set on Vibe. Why did you change that one joke?" And I was so fucking embarrassed, dude. I said, oh. He goes, "The booker?" But I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Look, Rube." He goes, "Always remember this. As soon as they call your name, you're in full control. Once you walk out, there's nothing anybody can do. Now they can cut you out, they can do whatever, but as soon as they say your name, you're in full control, man. Trust your gut, man."
Well, what's interesting, Johnny, is that I think, like I was okay with my half hour presents. I remember when Patrice did his, he did 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I know what you're going with.
So they couldn't edit it. You know what I mean? Right. He like Patrice was notorious for running a light. Notorious. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's the one time at 22 he said, "Good night." You're gonna use it just as I did it,
Yep.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting is I ended up doing about 32 or 33 that night, and they really chopped it up. But it was a weird set. It was the beginning. The first half was me and my personal thing, and all of a sudden it just shoots off into all this like physical comedy that I used to do at that time. And
right.
It also happened to me. I just realized this, Ruben. This happened at Montreal about a year before. I was doing New Faces, and they were like, "Here, we want you to do this 7-minute set about yourself, the development set." And I was like, "Man, this was before you think I would have learned my lesson?"
Right.
So I'm there on the first night, New Faces, and we made we compromised. I said, "I'll do your set the first night, but I'm doing my set the second night." Like, okay. So The host bombed. I remember that. He ate it. I mean, nothing for 7 minutes. I'm up first. I go up, and it's a Canadian. I've never performed in Canada. Here I go again. Man, this Mexican stuff, they're just not even relating to it. They've never even heard of somebody who's like, doesn't speak Spanish or whatever. So I have a so-so set, man. All the suits were there. Everybody was there that night. All the networks, all the studios. Okay. So they're like, don't worry, you'll get them tomorrow. I go, you guys wait and see tomorrow night. Wait till tomorrow night. The next night comes. I do my material, just the stuff that killed. I crush it. Nobody two industry guys, and they were like junior agents.
Right.
And then I remember, and this is weird because I just realized they had told me, you know what, we'll listen to you. And I think that's why we found a compromise on the special a year or 2 years later. But same thing, man. If I had you just want to do well. You want to do, they were all into the development thing and, sickening, man.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Dwayne.
Well, it's so much like boxing, and I know you guys are boxing fans. I think you are, Johnny. I know Ruben is a big, and it's like.
Yeah, I was an amateur boxer for 6 years, Dwayne.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. That's what's up.
Okay.
So wait, Joey Diaz was a boxer too.
Who?
Joey.
Oh, Joe. Oh, yeah, Joey. Now Joey fought as a pro.
He was a real boxer.
Right.
Johnny fought Mighty Mikes.
But the reason why I say that is if like in boxing, your trainer is such a part of what you do, right? They would never come up with a new game plan like last minute off the cuff.
Right.
Only you'd have to be ready for it. And if they felt going into the fight you weren't ready for this new game plan, like if you were a brawler and you were fighting a boxer and they had and they were like, you know what, you're just not there yet with the boxing. Just do what you do, and that you got a better shot doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have a fighter, you have a puncher's chance than to get in there and be uncomfortable. So it takes a long time to do something different. Games with your career, and they don't have to like have any accountability.
Yeah. Well, I think the theme, like if we're talking about this whole podcast, is it all seems to come back to trusting your gut. You doing the special, you making a decision going, this year, I'm going to operate with the mindset of if I have all the money to do whatever projects that I want to do, I'm going to operate in that mindset and trusting your gut. And I think, for everybody listening, learn the lessons that all of us have learned when we don't trust our gut. And I think it's made me a better comic today because now I'm going to live and die with what Ruben believes. I'm not going to, I don't want to make excuses anyway, because at the end of the day, when you don't have a good set, you're like, my manager told me to do that. And like, you can't use that excuse. Because once they call your name, it's you on there on that platform. It's just like when you do certain tapings and everything, people don't know that a fight broke out before you were about to record, or the audience had been there for 10 hours when it was time for you to record. At the end of the day, man, you have to own everything that you put. I don't make any excuses. I just learn from my lessons. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm the one that's going to have to take the lessons, I want to go down firing with what I believe in, because at the end of the day, we know better than them because we actually do this.
Right.
Unless you're blessed to have somebody, unless you're blessed enough to have that trainer that's Angelo Dundee or is, a great,
a great,
somebody that, you know what I mean?
Well, you have to have a great manager. That's why if anyone hasn't watched the Wu-Tang series, the fictionalized one on Hulu,
yes,
it's the most amazing thing because people don't realize the RZA, he envisioned this whole thing. He envisioned their look. He envisioned their sound. He knew where each artist was going to go, what label they were going to go to, because he only let the one label sign them as a group, but they could also sign with different labels as individuals. It was unprecedented, right? And he only knew to do all of this because he had such a massive failure, and he talked about it. And it's amazing. Before he was RZA, he was Prince Raheem, and he had a top hat in the video, and it was like, "Oh, we love you, Raheem." They literally tried to make him be Will Smith.
Yes.
And can you imagine the RZA trying to be Will Smith? And and then when it failed, at least on the show, the guy was like, "Yeah, your single didn't sell, so we're not going to sign you," and took no accountability because RZA was like, "You made me go with that look.
Come on, man.
You didn't clear my sample, the original sample I had.
Yeah.
You made me do that song. You made me do this. You made me do that." And the guy was like, "Yeah. All right. Well," didn't care at all because he wasn't invested in it. You know, it was like monetarily he was a little, but it was they're just throwing a lot of stuff against the wall, and they don't have original ideas on top of it.
And here's another layer on top of what we're talking about. When you do go against your gut, you're never going to be 100% invested in what you're doing anyway.
Yeah,
you're not going to be at your best because you're not going to be fully committed to it. You're going to be thinking the whole time, "Why am I doing this? I didn't really want to do like this." So you're not going to be free. You're not going to be loose. That's why when sometimes people come see you, you know, just do a set, and then they come see you do a showcase set, you know, especially when you're a younger comic, they go, "Hey, I seen you here on Friday, and you were totally different than you are now because you're just performing. You didn't know anybody was in the audience. You were just being organically you doing what you felt in your gut. Now somebody comes to see you, all of a sudden, you know, you're still you're like,
now,
breaking stuff.
That's the thing. That's different if you're doing a corporate and nothing can come of it, and they're giving you like what's equivalent to a month or two worth of rent.
Yes.
To be stiff for half an hour, then that's where the craft kicks in, right? You just
absolutely
because maybe they'll have you back next year, and if that company brings you back every year, and that's 1 or 2 months rent, that one show, boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Ruben, remember Luke Torres used to say that he was the WB frog when no industry was at a show. He's like, "Hello, my mammy." He would do that, and then whenever he would do a showcase, he's all himself. He said he always tanked it at showcases. He just got in his head every single time. Like they're all here, all the suits are here, and it just.
Dude, you know what's crazy? When I my first Conan, here's what happened. It was a crazy story. I was in a Chicago Comedy Festival, right?
Okay,
and
I remember that.
I think I had 2 shows one night. The first show was at like some hood spot, and I just was like a young enough comic where I thought I could riff and do some different things. And this was like dead ass Chicago, you know what I mean? Who was hosting? There's a famous local guy was hosting. George, what's George's last name?
George Wilbur.
Yeah, he was hosting. Yeah. And it just didn't go well. And I think I got like, I don't know if I got booed, but it was like I struggled. I may have even got booed. I know this. I ended the night with saying "fuck y'all." So that tells you how well it went. So
yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
So then I go to Zany's. I have a pretty good set. I have a really good set at Zany's. That's like Friday or Saturday. Sunday, the next night, I go back to Boston. I was living in Boston at the time. And in Boston, we're doing a showcase for Conan, for the Conan people. And before the set, the guy who was booking Conan, Smiley, Frank Smiley, I believe is his name, he came up to me. That might be his brother, but he came up to me, Paula and Frank. Yeah, I think it was Frank. He came up to me in Boston, and he goes, "We saw you last night." And I'm like, "Oh, shit, where did you see me last night?" They saw me in Chicago the night before. And I'm like, because now I'm like, did he see me at the first place? So he was like, "No, we saw you at Zany's." I was like, "Oh, yeah. That was said that." And he was like, "We loved your stuff, man. You had a great set." Yeah, he said everything except like, "You got it." You see what I'm saying? So that put me at such a comfort level. It made me so relaxed. And like one of the the guy who ran the club, great guy. He loves comics, but people give you advice. They mean for you to take it in the way you can take it. So one of the things he said, he was like, "When you guys get up there, don't say hi to the crowd, just get right into it. And that made a lot of the other guys on that showcase, it made them stiff.
Made them tighten up.
But I just talked to the guy from Conan, and he was like, yo, we love you, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, hey, guys, what's going on? And then I did my jokes. And just even that made me loose. And the other comics, they were coming up like, so, my wife, like, and it's just.
Hey, Dwayne, here's the cold part. I'm not embarrassed to say I'd have been one of those other guys, man. I would have followed
right.
to the T. And I just tell comics now, man, like, I love to see people prosper and progress. And if I can keep people from making the mistakes that I made, trust me, you. Now, yeah, there's certain things that you have to be aware of and be cognizant of when you're doing certain things with specific parameters. But for the most part, man, you just be you, be comfortable, man. Don't be robotic. I mean, to even tell somebody don't say hi to the audience, I get what they're saying in theory, but shut up.
Right. What they mean is don't riff a lot, but to not say hi to the audience, like
it's weird.
Right.
This is my favorite one, Dwayne. Jamie. This is for a Letterman showcase, and who's the guy that used to book Letterman for years?
Basil. I mean, not Basil.
Eddie
Brill.
Eddie Brill. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Brill's gonna be there. And so Jamie goes, buddy, I got you showcase, buddy. But listen, buddy, have to wear suit, buddy. Suit and tie. Everybody going to wear suit and tie. No one go on stage without suit and tie. It's rule. I go, Jamie, I don't work like that. I go, I don't even have a blazer on. Are you kidding me? I'm like, sorry, buddy. Suit, tie, or you don't get I go, oh, okay. And of course you say to you, I was going to say no. And of course, that then you get that voice in the back of your head that's like, are you crazy, dude? This could be, so what, Johnny? Put a suit on, even though you never wear a suit and never a tie. I don't even know still don't tie properly. So I put on my black, so all black tie. I get up there. I get there early. I'm up to first person I see walk in is Ian Edwards with his ripped up jeans, his giant belt buckle he used to wear. Remember, he used to always wear the giant belt buckle, the rodeo belt buckle stuff. And I'm like, wait, are you here for the showcase? He's like, yeah, what's up? And then all the other comics, come on, T-shirts, freaking whatever, just all like I normally see.
You have on a suit and a top hat.
Like an idiot, dude. I didn't bring a change. I go, didn't they tell you? Didn't he say you have to wear a suit? And he's like, he just suggested like it would look good if I go, he didn't tell So I'm stuck, dude. And I go up and I have a set. It's of course, I feel like I was wearing I felt like I was up there in a clown suit. You know what I mean? That's how and then of course, Jamie always had something great. Buddy, you start off great, buddy. He loved you. He put circle around, and then you went off in that other bit. I don't know why, and he just put line through name, buddy. Really? Anyway, and I go, Jamie's the suit. He's the suit. He's like, it's your material. You went wrong. You had it 2.5 minutes. You're at the halfway point. You almost, and then you go this way. You lose it, buddy.
I will say this. Me and Johnny talk about this all the time. Jamie can give the worst advice, and he can give the best advice. Over the years, you just got to learn how to filter it. You know what I mean? Because there's certain, Jamie, has given me a piece of advice before where I go, damn, Jamie told me that beforehand and I didn't listen. So as I matured as a comic, I know like what parts to take, what parts to leave out. But Dwayne, thank you for doing the podcast, man. We love having you on. We definitely want to have you back on.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Before we let you go, like, what are some of the things that you're working on, or what are some of your hopes for the near future? Like, what are some of your goals that you're trying to knock down, man? Because it was just very inspiring to hear your mentality for that year when you did the movie.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, I have this book out, Zombie Run. So I gotta get to.
How did that come about, Dwayne? How did the book even come about?
Well, my friend Koji Sakai, who I write with. What's crazy is that I didn't even think I would just tell people I write with Koji. It's one of my friends I write with, and I didn't realize that novice, like civilians, they thought that meant like I write my stand up with him. You know what I mean? And I was like, no. I write my stand up. Koji and I have written some. One day, I think on the same day, me and Koji are going to become millionaires on the same exact day because we've written like 3 or maybe 4 features and now this book. Mm-hmm. And so I had an idea to write a movie called Zombie Run. It changed a lot. Mm-hmm. The idea was I got this idea. I was in Toronto, and a bunch of people ran by me dressed as zombies. It was a 5K. They do this thing, white people. So, but they dressed as zombies.
You didn't even have to say that.
We knew.
Right. I know.
I don't think anybody listening is envisioning a group of black people running in the
right. So I just thought it'd be funny if like, what if real zombies showed up at the zombie run? Because then you couldn't tell the real zombies from the fake zombies. It was more of a comedy, but through talking to him, we evolved it into a book where basically the 2 lead characters are like, they find each other. They're human beings in a world filled with zombies. And there's a few, like 1% of the humans lived, but they have to pretend to be zombies in public. Because, and so these two, they don't realize that they're both human. So it takes a while. And then once they do, she introduces him to because he doesn't really, the lead character, Hanson, he doesn't know that humans exist. He thinks he's the only human being in the world, you know, almost kind of like Harry Potter under the steps kind of feeling, you know? Mm-hmm. And then she introduces him to the other human beings, and it's all about how they fall in love and how they while not getting eaten by zombies. So hopefully get that going. I want to do another special. What's crazy is that it doesn't stop, man, because like after I did that special, this one, take note, I thought, okay, the next one, I want just someone to pay me to do, you know? Yeah. And then I got an offer that was so fucking bad that I was like, shit, I guess I got to just do it again. Like, it was like after I did this, I got the shittiest offer. I'll tell you guys when I see you the offer, it's fucking outrageous how bad it was.
I'll tell you the offer that I got, and it was from a major platform. And when the offer came in, I was like,
dude, it might be the same one. But I felt like you would
be on the list, but I don't want to out anybody publicly. But I'm sure probably the same company.
Oh,
yeah, we'll talk about it. And it was like, it's like, are you taking the extra money and buying a house? Like it was that. It was that bad. What are you about to say, Johnny?
Oh, I want to say also. You can catch him and myself on No Money Down. Okay.
What is that?
Oh, right. That's Tarun's thing. Yeah. We did Tarun did a pilot. Tarun Shetty.
Oh, I know Tarun. Yeah.
Tarun did it cool. He's in it way more than me. But it came out good, dude. I think it's on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube now, but used car dealership, right? Or rental.
Right. I think it was dealership.
Dealership, yeah.
Guys, is it a film or is it a series?
It was gonna be a series. It's because it was the pilot. It's Darren Carter's in it as well, and I played I had a quick scene as a cholo. No typecasting, but. But it came out really good, man. I feel like Tarun should really keep pushing it, man, or do another, maybe shoot another. Because you guys were all great in it, man. It was a good casting and everything. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. He should maybe just do the whole series on his own if he can. Why not put it on YouTube?
I agree with you on that. It's good enough. Absolutely good enough. So
and I got another Dry Bar special coming out at some point that I shot it already.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah.
How long are those Dry Bar specials? How long?
My first one was 45, I think 45, 48. But now they're doing the shorter ones. At least for me, my second one is 25. So it was like nothing. 25 minutes, a lot of fun.
Now you said you want to shoot another special. I'm just picking your brain here. Is this something that you want to wait until the pandemic is over? Or are you thinking about challenging yourself to do it in a different medium?
You know what? That's I don't know, but I think I'd wait. I'm not sure because I've had a lot of great shows on Zoom, but it's teaching the audience that it's okay to like make smoothies during your show and shit like that. Like I want to get them out of that space. You know what I mean?
Me too. I'm really anxious, man, for this thing to be over and we can get back to some type of normalcy, whatever the new normal is going to be. But I just can't wait to feel a packed room again. Hopefully, if people wear the masks, we can get back to that. But I just got to there's a special in me that needs to come out, man. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. And if you have any questions, of course,
Absolutely.
By the way, Ruben, B. Cole.
Yes.
He said he actually saw your set on Vibe.
Oh wow, that was a while ago.
That's crazy. I didn't see it.
Set, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's just funny when people would like a lot of the stuff that we've done is floating around the world somewhere and people are watching it and you have no idea. And that goes back to the point of, once something is done and it's out in the universe, it's there. So if you're going to put something on tape, trust your gut and do what you want to do.
Yes.
Don't listen to anybody else unless you have confidants that you collaborate with. But for the most part, you just got to trust your instincts when you're doing something. But Dwayne, bro, it's all love, man. I have a tremendous respect for you as a man and as a comic. And I was telling Johnny, and this is the last point because me and Johnny actually talked about this before you even came on. And there's people that like comedy, and then there's people who love comedy. And I tend to go along with the people who love comedy. And just having you be a part of the pilot that I did, and you and both Johnny, it's cool to see, like, wow, to listen to somebody who loves comedy just as much as I do. And even when people say parallel thought, like me and you have had similar bits that we've discussed in the past, like, hey, man, just so you know, I'm doing a little something like that. And, when they say great minds think alike, it's honored sometimes when, we think of similar things, or me and Johnny might think of a similar thing because it just shows that you're on the right track, as a comic. Like sometimes, like I remember having a bit that I had been doing for a while, and then Rock came out with the same bit, and I'm like, hey, I must be doing something right because I respect this dude's mind, I know he didn't see me, and he came up with that, and I hold you and both Johnny in that same esteem, man. So
thank you, man. Thank you. And I think the same of you two guys. You guys are great, and I like watching you. Whenever we're at the factory, I usually stay and watch you guys.
good Long Beach spots. Also, we gotta have him back, Rube, because we didn't even tap on all his international stuff, man. That's something we have in common. So,
and that's
absolutely.
What's funny is real quick. So me and DP both work China a lot, and I remember I don't know if I started working mainland China before you or something, but I just remember talking to Turner, and because what I try to do is I go, okay, what would a hacky black comic do? What would his local jokes be like? And let me do the opposite. And then I remember telling him, having this conversation, I go, well, I know Dwayne is not going to do that. So, you know what I mean? Because there's certain staples that a black guy in China is going to do. And it was refreshing to Turner. He was like, "Nah, Dwayne didn't do that either." And I was like, "Of course he did." But then he named the comics who did, and I'm like, "Of course they did."
Right.
Yeah, but we got to talk about all that stuff, man, because I know we both talk about our travels to China. Yeah. We didn't even talk about South Africa.
Absolutely. We'll get into it. We'll, let's do it again. And I had a blast. You guys are great, and this is a dope format as well.
Thanks,
so where can the listeners find you, Dwayne, on social media and everything?
Sure, yeah. Dwayne Perkins on Instagram. That's DWAYNE. Funny DP on Twitter. DwaynePerkins.com is the website. And try to stay up with content. I'm always throwing up little videos. I have my IG TV videos, and now that I'm on hiatus, I'll I'll be amping up my content a lot, my online content.
Awesome. I'm going to be doing the same. So now that I know you're on a hiatus, I'll be bugging you a little bit more, man. We can probably work on something together.
That's what's up. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I'm
Thanks for
good
doing
seeing
it,
you
man.
guys here.
Hey,
Thank you, man.
ladies and gentlemen, that was the great Dwayne Perkins. Follow him on social media. Look for his special that's going to be on Stars. Is it airing right now, Dwayne? The special?
Yes, it's available right now on various platforms. Take note, various platforms.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome. So everybody, that's Dwayne Perkins. Johnny, once again, thank you, brother. And everybody, enjoy your day. That's the best of everything with Ruben Paul and Johnny Sanchez with our special guest, Dwayne Perkins. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify,
YouTube.
YouTube. Anywhere you can get podcasts, you can find us. So that's it for all of us, and we are out.
Ruby motherfucking Tuesdays.
This show is all about diversity and bringing everyone together. You never know who you're going to see at Ruby Tuesdays.